into the penalty area now. Tries to slide it across, there's a tap-in, and Tuchel scores on his debut and wraps up the 3 points for Exeter City.
So Kev, we're going to reflect on the last few weeks of the club, which have been very positive. If we just start with Saturday's 3-0 win over Stevenage as well, what are your reflections on that game?
Really good performance. Biggest thing for me is bouncing back from the Man City game. Obviously it was quite humbling. I think we knew that there'd be people out there with eyes on us to see how we reacted from that, and I think it was brilliant all around, staff, players, fans, everybody involved. I think to come back from that and put on that performance, have that atmosphere, play like we played, ran like we ran, stayed as positive as what we were. I was waiting for the first kind of punch in the nose, whether it was a goal against or something goes against us in the game, to see how we reacted, but we were so front foot and we were so in control. I don't think they really managed to do that on the day, and they're a dangerous team. You know, we know they're physical, they're full of like kind of old school leader types who understand what they do, keep on doing it and are good at it. And I think for us to control the game like we did, with and without the ball, for us to limit them to so little, stop the ball going in our box as well as what we did, and then play some of the football we played was outstanding on our part, not just on the day but following on from that experience. So credit where it's due. It was a good all-round day.
Gary said after the Man City game how impressed at how relentless he thought Man City were on that day, and that was something that maybe we could learn from, and it really felt like we took that into the game on Saturday, and we were relentless, and every time we didn't have the ball we were trying to get it back and on their toes. Yeah,
I think that was my biggest takeaway from Man City. You know that they're outrageously talented players, you know that they are brilliantly physical athletes, but their behaviours, the stuff that they did that didn't require talent, it required dedication and being switched on and reactions and positive behaviours, was the thing that stood out to me most. And I think that was the biggest lesson. We can do that. Like, we might not be able to do it at the speed that they can do it at, we might not be able to do it as some of the athletes that they are, but there's nothing that they did when they lost the ball, there's nothing that their behaviours showed that we can't emulate. And then after that, you can see where it takes you. You can see how hard you can work physically, you can see how good you can get technically, you can see how high up the ladder you can go and play. But you won't get that opportunity if your mindset isn't right, if the behaviour as an individual tied into what the team is trying to achieve isn't right. And I thought Man City were outstanding at that, and I thought we were on Saturday. And so hopefully we've taken those lessons. Hopefully it's something that we can continue to do, because I think we've just spoke to the lads there, the single biggest threat now is any kind of complacency. Yes, it's been a good little run, yes, it was a good Christmas period, yes, we've bounced back brilliantly from Man City, but we're about to go into probably the toughest test of the season, because it's a new manager, it's a big pitch, they're trying to bounce back, and we need to make sure that we go there to Port Vale and we show who we are and what we are.
You've spoken a lot in these pieces and over the last couple of seasons about the importance of process. And with the current performances and results, do you think that's what shows why it's so important to stick to your processes?
Are you starting to catch on to the whole process thing? That's good. Yes, and it is. Process becomes a buzzword if you don't actually follow it through and work at it. I think our biggest strength as a group of staff, as a manager and the staff that work with him, I think process is our thing. We don't get too high, we don't get too low, we stick to the periodisation of training, we stick to the understanding of where they're at physically, we stick to making sure that we are trying to chip away and get better and better at what we do. We don't flip-flop between, well, this week we're just going to shell it and this week we're going to play total football. We've got our way, we've got the players that understand that way, and the process is sticking to that, not listening to the outside noise, not getting frustrated, not letting anything derail what we know works when we do it well. And I think that was the message this morning, and I think that'll be the message all week.
And the season's been split into blocks as well. How beneficial do you think that's been, and how would you kind of assess how it's gone so far?
I think it's been really good. I think each block has a certain amount of games in it, and with those blocks are corresponding points that we need to achieve, and we know what those points will achieve at the end of the season if that's what we get to in terms of survival, mid-table, anything higher than that. Then within each block there's been some kind of cultural work. So the first one of the season was lads standing up and just telling us a bit about themselves. We spun a wheel, their initials came up, no one wants to speak in front of the group, and they talk a little bit about what shaped them, who they are, how they found themselves, where they are. And each block's had a similar thing. The reason that we did it is in previous years we've snuck into bad form or we've snuck into good form. The time we went 13 games without a win, for the first 5 or 6 games of that, we thought we were playing quite well. Don't worry about it, it'll get there. And all of a sudden you realise you're on a really bad run, and actually confidence probably isn't overly high, and things aren't going where we need them to go. And what do we need to now focus on to get out of that? And with that comes the classic thing with sportsmen, is they do get too low and they get down and everything's negative, and that can follow through a football club all the way from a fan base through to the management to the players. The flip side of that is we've been on really good runs, and if you're not careful you start to think that you're untouchable and everything's great and it's easy, and it's not. Winning any single game of football in League One is difficult. So the blocks have allowed us to make sure that we don't go too long without sitting down and going, right then fellas, here's what we've done, here's how we've done it, here's what we need to do better, here's what we need to keep doing. But that's done now, and we move on, and now we're on to the next block. So we put a line under that and we make sure that we check ourselves to go, actually, these things are going really well, we want to carry on doing that and making sure we work on that the right way. These are the things that are tripping us up a little bit at the moment, so let's eradicate those and make sure that we can see why that's happening. And it just chunked it so that at no given time are you just on that hamster wheel of consistently playing games and turning up and going through it, and all of a sudden, oh my God, we've not won for 13, or aren't we brilliant, we've won for 6. Neither are true. It is just always about the next game, and that takes you back to process.
And Saturday's win meant it was 5 games unbeaten at St James Park as well, and we've really turned the stadium into a fortress this season. What do you think it is that makes us so good at home and makes it difficult for teams to come to us?
I love the fact that what I just said was that making sure we stick to process, and nothing's great just because it's been happening, and then you've obviously written that question first, haven't you?
Sometimes you've
got to
highlight, highlight the wins sometimes, haven't you?
Yes, it's really positive that we are achieving a good home record. It's really positive that we get to do it in front of our own fans, and it's great that you can say that we've won the last 5. We've done that because we've treated each one of those 5 games on its own merits. Who we're playing, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, where are we currently, how can we exploit that, what players have we got available to us. It hasn't been a case of just rolling out the same 11 and going, go on lads, you did it last week, do it again. It's process. And so yes, it's 5 on the bounce, but that means absolutely nothing next time we turn up at St James Park. It means absolutely nothing on Saturday at Port Vale when we're away. It's a far bigger pitch than what ours is. It's a new manager. It's a team that wants to fight and scrap and try and show the new manager that they want to be there longer term, but also try and stay in League One while there's games and points to play for. So I think it will always go back to making sure you stick to the process and you break that all the way down from a block to a week to the game to the training to each individual element within that training day. And that is the beauty of trying to build something. It is relentless, it's hard work, but it's what we all enjoy doing.
One of our key strengths this season has been that kind of defensive solidarity as well. That, the joint least goals conceded league, so that gives us a strong platform to build on at any game if we know that we're well set up defensively.
Yeah, and this is a team thing. Like, if you look at these stats, and there's stats and data everywhere in football now, but if you look at the stats, our attacking players are our best defenders. They put the most pressure on high up the pitch, they work really hard, they've got the most accelerations and decelerations, they sprint more than anyone else. They do an incredible job to allow our defence to get in a position to minimise the opposition chances. At the flip side of that, our defence are particularly good at what we call shot window, like blocks in the box, making sure that we don't allow easy chances, making sure that we're switched on and we're ready for danger. And both of those fuel each other. I'd argue that we've got work to do in the middle of the pitch, not the middle of the pitch players, but in terms of as a team in the middle of the pitch, to maybe continue to play on the halfway line, win the ball back higher and play in the opposition's half. But we are doing some things right, and that is translating to some of the stats that we've got. But again, it means absolutely nothing if we think we've cracked it, turn up at Port Vale on Saturday and the front boys don't run and the back lads sit deep and we make it easy for them to exploit their big pitch, and all of a sudden football slaps you in the face quick.
You mentioned complacency earlier in there as well, and how do you keep the players in the right mindset as well? They've gone from facing teams at the top end of the table to now teams below or around us. How do you keep them in the right frame of mind to know that these are going to be as tougher games as ones they've just come through?
Yeah, consistency of our behaviours, consistency of our preparation, understanding that every team has its own merits, and that nothing changes. Grass is green, goals either end, ball's the same shape. It's just making sure that we prepare for what's coming, and that our behaviours, our mindset, that the Man City thing, that, you know, Man City could easily be sacked off. We're playing Exeter, we're 3-0 up, we could just sit back and just take the mick out of them now. But they relentlessly kept going, they relentlessly reacted, they just kept on doing it. And that's got to be our mindset going forward, and that's how you guard against complacency. You make sure we know that every 3 points we play for is massive, and we've got something that we can achieve this season if we keep doing that.
Just looking back on Saturday as well, a special moment for Ethan there where he got that goal he's really deserved. He's come so close this season as well, but you know, fantastic finish and a special moment for him.
Yeah, great kid. Really, really glad and happy for him that he got to do it in front of the big bank like that. Very, very accurate finish. He's been getting a bit of stick that the goalkeeper could maybe have done more. One or two people questioning how fast he got down to it. Ethan staying strong that no goalkeeper in the world could have saved it. I've got to back him on that one and let him enjoy it.
And especially for Timo as well. You know, joined us on Friday. Pretty much first training session. Comes on Saturday for half an hour and shows incredible pace that Gary was after, and was there to finish a special goal in his debut.
Yeah, he's a really, really conscientious young player. He's really keen to learn. He's asked loads of questions in the short time that he's been here. He went on, obviously some of those answered had landed with him, and he did some of the stuff that we asked, some of the stuff not quite there, but he's only been in the building for a day. But he showed his athleticism, he showed his spirit, he showed his willingness to try and get into areas to score goals. And I think he's come here very focused and very willing to do a job for the team, but wanting to show who he is and why he should be going on and playing higher.
With players returning from injury as well now, we've got quite a strong squad of players who are eager to play in that as well, and competition places that are high at the moment as well. So how do you manage that kind of part of the game?
That's how it should be. I think I've not said it for a while, iron sharpens iron. The more players, the more good players that we've got available, the more guys that are out on the training pitch, the harder everybody has to work to make sure they keep their place. But also with the understanding that everybody's going to be needed. There are so many games left. We play Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday for pretty much the rest of the season, give or take the odd week. There's a lot of ground to cover, a lot of points to be won, and every player in that building is going to be needed, whether it's coming off the bench as a finisher, whether it's starting, whether it's pushing people so that you can get your place back. It's a massive part of the game. So we've been a little bit thin on the ground over Christmas. Those boys have done brilliant to see us through it with such positive results, and now there's some reinforcements coming back in from within, and we're going to need them.
As you mentioned, Port Vale is next on Saturday as well, and the key is to go there with the right mindset and fully prepared, I guess.
Absolutely. I can't really say it any better than that, Scott.
Perfect.